Do you help out your friends, family, or even strangers for that matter to buy a Tesla? That's what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today. And mainly because, well, I'm actually going out there right now. I'm heading down to Tesla. I'm meeting one of my friends there, and he is absolutely just into the whole idea of getting a Tesla. This, however, is nothing new for me. I've done this countless times now. I love doing this. I've been doing this ever since I was allowed to drive. I've always taken a pleasure in going out there, helping out my friends, helping out my family to buy their vehicle. And there's a joy involved in it. I love watching people's reactions to that moment, you know, that emotional moment where they look at their car or their potential car or something they're really interested in, and there's this smile on their face. There's this amazing just expressions that they go through, the emotions that they go through. And when it comes to Tesla, there really is it's a very different scenario. You have to remember, we don't have to go down there. In fact, even the person who's purchasing the car does not have to go down to Tesla to do that. You simply can do it online. It's really easy. It's really simple. But there are a lot of people who, especially if they are, I guess, some of the older generations, and some of the new ones too, to be honest, who really go out of their way and they say, you know what, I really want to see that car and sit in it. Now, the awesome part about this is, for Tesla owners, especially part of the Tesla community, one of the great things you'll find is we as Tesla owners, we do give people rides. We do explain people what the cars are all about. So Tesla essentially has sales. We are the sales staff for Tesla. Every single Tesla owner is essentially a sales representative, if you will. But I give a lot of rides to a lot of different people, and some of them I put up on this channel. Some people don't feel comfortable being on camera, so we don't do that. But when I go out there and I give people rides, you'll be so surprised how fast they kind of pick up on the idea of what Tesla is all about. Well, today, like I said, I am heading out to Tesla, and one of my friends wants to pick up a Model Y. Now, we ran into a little bit of a glitch. You see, here in Vancouver, they don't have a Model Y on display yet. We kind of don't know what all the, you know, we can't see the physical car. So I make my friend aware of this, and I said, listen, there is no Model Y in the showroom as of yet. So, you know, you're kind of making a blind purchase here, which is nothing new. Tesla owners have done blind purchases before. A lot of people have. But I am not a big fan of blind purchases per se. So what I figured is, I said, you know what, let's set up an appointment. Let's get you into a Model 3, and you can test drive a Model 3. Keep in mind, obviously, the Model Y is going to be wider and bigger and taller and so forth and so on. However, it is still based off the Model 3. So getting into the Model 3 will give my friend a very good idea of what they're getting themselves into. Now, up until now, my friend's only been in a Model S because, well, he's been in my car, or a Model X. And typically, I've done reviews on the Model X before. He's seen how the Model X is, so he's never been in a Model 3, and I think since he wants to purchase a Model Y, the Model 3 is by far the one he has to get into right off the bat. If he likes that, then we can go forward, you know, we can go from there. After I'm done with all this, I'll give you guys a little bit of an update on what he decided, how he liked his Model 3 experience. And more so, I think just the idea of, well, how much he's going to have to wait. I think it's going to be somewhere between 3 and 6 months, to be honest. But, you know, what do I know? Currently, with all the things going on in the world, it's a whole different, it's a different beast, obviously. So I've talked to Tesla before about this. They've advised me, yeah, it can definitely take 3, in some cases, it might even go up as high as 6 months before the cars get here, depending on what's going on with this situation that we're in this world, because, well, the cars have to be made. The factories aren't necessarily open yet, you know what I mean. So it's gonna be I'm gonna be very curious. So I'm gonna cut out now. I'm gonna let you guys be, and then I'll return once we accomplished all this stuff. We go through everything. That's gonna be a little while because I really want them to do like a half an hour, maybe even 40-minute or an hour test ride. I'll talk to you know, I obviously know the staff there. If they don't need the car, they don't have other people lined up, then hopefully we can take the car out a little bit longer, and just to give them a real good sensation of what the car is all about. And yeah, that's it. So I'll see you guys back in, well, for you guys it's gonna be a blink of an eye. For me, it's probably gonna be an hour or two, and I'll keep you guys up to date on what we resolved, what kind of solution we came to. All right, well, that was a lot of fun. It turns out that my buddy's actually quite happy with the Model 3. In other words, they don't necessarily want the Model Y. Now, one of the things I tell a lot of my friends is sleep on it. Don't you know, don't just make a quick decision on the spot. I know that's typically not the way, you know, people like to do things, and that's probably why a lot of people don't like me, you know, when I'm there and helping out my friends and all those kind of things. But you should always sleep on the idea, and you should always think about whether or not, you know, first of all, the financing makes sense for you if you're going down you know, the alley of financing. And if it makes sense to you, and if you sleep on it, then I think it's one of those things that you're just gonna feel so much better about your decision. I'm sorry for the camera shaking. This is a really horrible road. So I think ultimately what happens is, like, my friends currently, they looked at the car, we got them in for a test drive. They test drove the Model 3 and absolutely love it. But loving the car is not necessarily an excuse to buy the car. It has to make sense for what you are doing. And that's one of my favorite things about, you know, going out with people and discussing all these different things about, you know, just showing off the cars and having a discussion about, does the car make sense to your lifestyle? I have a tendency to ask people, why do you buy the car? What is the purpose of you buying this car? How is this car going to improve your lifestyle or help you in your everyday life? And that's something that I think is very important for a lot of people to remember, that when you're making a purchase, especially when you're making a purchase like Tesla, you're not talking about small numbers. These are still very expensive vehicles. So having the ability to talk to your friends and tell them, listen, make a conscious decision based on, number one, what you're going to use that vehicle for. Number two, how much are you going to drive that car? Most people don't talk about this, but I know a few people who ended up buying a Model 3. Actually, I know somebody who bought a Model X, and honestly, they're driving nothing. You know, what we consider the weekend drivers, they barely anything. When you're talking about, if your everyday drive is, you know, 30-40 kilometers, or, you know, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to spend this kind of money. Now, if you do drive quite a bit and you are the kind of person who's out there driving, let's say 100 kilometers a day, then yeah, I can see where really the value of this is really going to come in play for you, because you're driving in a car that, one, you can charge from home, so it doesn't really cost you much in terms of fueling your trip. And two, if you're the kind of person who likes to take mini road trips and things like that, then again, it makes more sense, because now you're bringing the value, that you're getting the value. Basically, the money you spent on your car, it's being returned in a form of value, right? By how much you use it. So this is what's happened today with my friends. And so they went out, they sat in the Model 3, they, you know, I explained them roughly of what everything does. And it's very easy to fall in love with these cars. It really is. I know everyone who's ever sat in these cars, they fall in love with the car really quick. Now, we went for a test drive. It was only about a half an hour test drive, but kind of gave them an idea of chill mode, you know, for acceleration compared to standard, all the nice little features that the car has. But more than anything else, it was the driving. It was how the car felt while, you know, you're driving around in the city, especially. Now, with all that said, driving in the city is typically the last place you're gonna show people how a car is. For me, I think driving in a city is where you really want to see how it is, because more often than not, you'll be in a city environment. So if you like how the car handles in the city, then you'll love the rest of the car. On the highway, you know, Teslas are a dream. They're fun. Uh, and going through the explanation of autopilot, like, you know, obviously in your price, you're going to have autopilot included. And how does that work? How is that, you know, going to be useful for you? So that's something you're going to use mostly on the highway anyway. I know you can use it in the city right now, but that's still something you're going to be using more of on the highway rather than the city. So with that said, what is the conclusion? I asked my friends to take a week, you know, take a couple of days, take a week. Tesla sent them out the, you know, the estimate and all the numbers and how they wanted it. They wanted a red Model 3, black interior, and because they went down that path, it, you know, Tesla gave them basically the information of what it would cost with a little bit of a price breakdown, and I got them to send it to him on his email. And now go home, talk it over, think about it, and make sure that when you're buying this vehicle, it is definitely going to be beneficial to you. It makes sense financially, and you're never going to have any type of regret. So that's the end of today. We're probably going to revisit this in about a week. At least my friends and I will. I don't know if I'm going to bring you guys along for that, but we're probably going to revisit it in about a week and then see, okay, do they think it makes sense? If they make sense, then we're going to move on to the next step, where they actually put a down payment on the vehicle and you know, get their vehicle appraised, make sure that, you know, everything makes sense. Once their vehicle is appraised, then obviously you have all the financing stuff and so forth and so on. Those are all the regular stuff. But I highly recommend, if you are taking your friends out and to help them buy a Tesla, give them all the explanation, be truthful about it, and don't let them buy anything on the first day. I think for a lot of people, it's really interesting because you obviously want to see your friends happy. And when your friend or your acquaintance or anybody, when they get into the car, into a Tesla, you see them happy. They really have a smile on their face. They enjoy every little moment. But if you're a true friend, you're going to take that step where you tell them, back off, you know, take a little time and think, because that's what you're there for. That's what a good friend is. You're willing to tell them, don't make a rash decision. I personally think, for my friends, I really do think that the Model 3 is the right choice, but I don't know their financial status enough to be able to tell them, you know what, I think this is the way you want to go. And so that's a decision they themselves have to make ultimately on their own. But I'm not about to let my friends kind of jump in headfirst into something that they may not be sure of. With all that said, you're not trying to discourage your friends. What you're trying to do is make sure that they make a right decision that's good for them. That's really what you're trying to do. That's your goal. That's what I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. I truly appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, if you think I offer any value to you. And with that said, I really want to hear from you guys. I'm kind of hoping to get, you know, some responses on this video with regards to, do you help your friends? Do you know, and in what way do you help your friends? Do you think it's a good idea to buy a vehicle on the day that you see it, or should you actually take the time to kind of think it over a little bit? Let me know in the comments below, and with that, I'll see you guys on the next video. Please, everybody, stay safe, drive safe. Bye.